In this episode, we are going to discuss the nominees for the 2025 Anime Trending Awards, the Demon Slayer leak that revealed the Infinity Castle film release dates, and a new report from the AJA showing the anime industry's continual growth. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of the Otaku Experience over here on the Burnett Network. I'm, of course, your host, Israel. So far, so good into the year. 2 episodes back to back. Haven't missed a beat, but I haven't really had too much difficulty this year. Like I said last episode. And a great welcome back. Thank you, guys. I guess I wasn't gone too long, but in more of a philosophical, spiritual welcome back, and I appreciate you guys being so welcoming in the response to the latest episode. But I did go over how I got a new job, and the job has given me a firm schedule, and so that stuck through. So I have Saturdays off, and so I woke up this morning, made some breakfast, got a cup of coffee, and I just got to work on the Otaku Experience, and it's been a really relaxing morning, and I look forward to doing this throughout the rest of the year, and hopefully making it a good anime year. Another thing, the 2025 anime season, let me go ahead and pull up my anime list here. The winter 2025 anime season has officially started. I'll pull up the list here, and here's some of the shows. So you can see, like, Solo Leveling already jumping off to an amazing debut. Same thing with Apothecary Diaries. I think we kind of knew these because the first 2 seasons, or the first seasons for each of these shows were really popular. Sakamoto Days, not performing as amazingly as you would hope, but performing really solidly. I think one of the ones that I'm kind of most disappointed in is the reception to Zenshu. I haven't had a chance to watch anything yet, but from what I've heard about Zenshu, it's like beautiful animation, beautiful ideas, but just not all there. Not that it was bad, but just that people haven't gotten a full reaction to it yet, and they'll need to see how it progresses. So I am interested to see how it goes, and I'm a little nervous because I am excited. I believe that this is an anime original, and so I'm very excited to see this. And it's about people who make anime, and I love that. So one of my favorite movies of last year was Look Back, which we'll talk about later in the show, and that is about artists making art, and I just love that stuff. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring up that the season's off to a pretty decent start, at least so far. Lots of sequels, and I haven't had a chance to see anything, but overall, so far so good, at least in terms of the overall picture. I just wish there was some more new shows that were bigger, because there are a decent amount of new shows, but those are just the shows that no one's watching. Like all of the top 8 shows are sequels, But anyway, so there's that. First thing, the big topic for this one, I want to go over the 2025 Anime Trending Award nominees. So we talked a little bit about this in the last episode, that what to expect for this anime awards season. The Anime Trending Awards are usually first, with the Crunchyroll Awards being a month behind. This time, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards are 3 months behind. But anyway, so the Anime Trending Awards voting is now open. You can now vote. You don't need to make an account on the website or anything. You can just vote, and that'll be all fun there. I'm going to go over some of the biggest categories and some of the nominations and who I think probably has the biggest chance of winning those. I'm not going to go over things like the genre awards, things like that, because I just don't care. You guys know that at this point. So anyways, if we go over to the Anime Trending website, you can see we have Anime of the Year. And I've already talked about this, but I'll mention it real quick for people who are maybe new or just don't remember. So here are your nominees: Seventh Time Loop, Alia, Sometimes Had Your Feelings in Russian, Classroom of the Elite Season 3, Dan Da Dan, Free and Beyond Journey's End, Delicious in Dungeon, Days with My Stepsister, Day to Live 5, Girls Band Cry, Konosuba Season 3, Too Many Losing Heroines, Mushoku Tensei, The Apothecary Diary, Solo Leveling, ReZero Season 3, Oshinoko Season 2, and The Dangers in My Heart Season 2. And I talked about how I think by far and away, not just for this, but for the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, but specifically for this, I think Frieren is by far and away your frontrunner. It is currently rated as the greatest, as the highest anime of all time on my anime list. With a second place going to Dandadan just because it has that recency behind it. It's in people's minds. It's fresh. And it was also really well received. It's in like the top 3 or 4 most well celebrated and well received shows of the year. And so I think that especially that with its recency gives it a really good edge here. And then other than that, Dangers in My Heart is in there. Too Many Losing Heroines is in there. And and Apothecary Diaries, and that's really it. There were some other seasonal winners like Konosuba. I think there was one more, and I'm forgetting it. But anyway, maybe it was. I don't remember. Anyway, so you do have those seasonal winners, but I really think that this race is a Dandadan free run race, and there is a possibility of maybe they split the vote and something else takes it. I mean, last year I was surprised by the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen I think placed in the top few, but Vinland Saga placed a lot lower than I thought, and I thought it was going to be a race between those two, and it ended up being Tengoku Daimakyo, which was my choice. But I did not expect that to happen. And so you could see something similar happen here where something we don't expect to happen happens. So there's your Anime of the Year nominees. I think your frontrunners are Frieren and Dandadan, and I think that Frieren is going to win this category, but we will see next month. Going down to Anime Movie of the Year. Now, something that you're probably going to notice and something that I don't really know the specifics as of why this is like this, is that Look Back is not here. Instead, you have Blue Giant, Gridman Universe, Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Kid, Spy Family Code White, The Boy and the Heron, and The First Slam Dunk. The only thing I could think of is that Look Back maybe just wasn't eligible yet, or whatever their qualifications are for that. I don't remember them making a post about it on Twitter or on their website as to why it's not here, because I think if it was here, I think it would win. Right now, who do I think is going to win? It's hard to tell. I voted for The Boy and the Heron. I already voted. I voted for The Boy and the Heron because I thought that movie was, the more I watch it, I think it's just a masterpiece and it just gets better and better. It's going up there, and like every time I rewatch it, it goes up higher and higher in my Ghibli list. And so I think for me, I would vote for that. But, I think more people maybe saw Spy Family that are going to vote. Maybe some people are going to vote for Blue Giant. And remember, last year, or maybe it was the year before, we just kept talking about the success of The First Slam Dunk. So don't be surprised if that happens. I think that really Knapsack Kid and Gridman Universe are the two ones that really won't get anything. If Look Back was here, I would say it's probably going to go to Look Back, but it would be a Look Back Boy and the Heron race. Right now, I voted for Boy and the Heron, and I think it'll probably go to Boy and the Heron, but I don't really know. This category is a little weird because Look Back is missing, and it's such like a big, like, where is it? Going down to the character awards, this is where I start to not really care until we get down to the aspect awards, but we'll go over this one real quick. I'm not going to go over all these names, but I'll go over some quick ones. You have Rudius, you have Himel, Aqua, Jinshi from the Apothecary Diaries, Kyotaro Ichikawa from Dangers in My Heart Season 2, Kuze Masachika from Alia, Subaru, Nukumizu, Ranma, Stark, Will, and Ken Takakura, and of course, Sung Jinwoo from Solo Leveling. I don't really care who this goes to. I don't really know who it's going to be. If I had to guess, I didn't vote in this category because I don't care. If I had to guess, I think it's going to probably be Ken. Number one, he has the recency, and number two, people just freaking loved his character, even without the recency involved. And so I think that'll probably be the case. If it's not him, maybe it could go to Nukumizu or Jinshi, but everyone else I don't really see. Like, there's no character that really sticks out to me other than Ken. Going down to Girl of the Year. And for those of you guys who do care more about these categories, let me know your thoughts, because that might be able to, as someone who doesn't vote in these categories and who doesn't care about these categories, because I think they're mainly meaningless. I hit my mic, sorry about that, especially to those of you listening to the podcast. That I can't, it's hard for me to get into that mindset. I don't really know what people are looking for. For me, it's just like what character resonates with me the most, what character is the most memorable. But I don't know if people who vote in this vote like that, or if they have something else going on in their head. So I just vote for usually the character I just usually think that the character who will win is the character who stands out, who I remember the most. So Girl of the Year, you have Kana Arima, Momo Ayase, Frieren, Fern, Emilia, Hollow, Akane, Kujo, or Alia, Mao Mao, Suo and Anna and another Anna, but Yamada for Dangers in My Heart. For this, geez, I don't know. This one's harder for me. I would probably, I don't know, man. I really like the Oshinoko girls because I think that they actually like get development. Where a lot of times anime characters, because the series goes on for so long, their development is really long. And so in a season, you don't see as much. But I feel like the Oshinoko girls develop pretty good. And these two had like a really good dynamic between the two of them in season 2, if you guys remember. You know, Akane looking at Kana as like a hero when she was a child. And then they got to know each other. And then they hate each other. And then they, by the end of the season, kind of have this, without going into too much spoilers, build like this kinship and respect for one another, even though they're not really friends. But I see this probably going to Momo Ayase for Dandadan, just because, same thing with Ken, I think that they'll take it. And this is one of the reasons why I think that this is a free run Dandadan race in anime trending, because I think Dandadan is going to win a lot of the other awards. Like Dandadan, I think, is going to take the character stuff. I think it's probably going to take opening. I think it's probably going to take animation. You know, things like that ultimately build up to, could this be the anime of the year in these people's minds if they're voting for it in all these other categories? Because I think that, you know, these characters, Ken and Momo, definitely stick with you and leave more of an impression than Fern and Frieren do. But I think that Frieren's the better anime. And so you have that kind of battle going on where does each element, like does Dandadan, if it wins every single element, make it a better anime? Or is Frieren an overall better anime, even though it doesn't win in these specific categories? I don't know if that makes any sense. But going on down to couple ship, this one I care about a little bit more, but not as much. You have Aqua and Akane, Aqua and Kana. I'm trying to think of people I care about. Himmel and Frieren. I don't really know why that's there. He's dead. You can't ship him. Jinshi and Mau, Ken and Momo, Masachika and Alia, Ranman, Akane. Of course, Anna and Kyotaro, and Stark and Fern. Who would I give this to? Who do I want to see together the most? I'd probably give it to Stark and Fern. I love them. Their dynamic is so cute. But who is it probably going to go to? It's probably going to go to Ken or Momo or Kyotaro and Anna for Dangers in My Heart. So we'll just have to see. I mean, it could go to Jinshi and Mama. I still see like the indirect kiss scene that's in this picture right here on Twitter, like all the time. People just love this thing. And especially with season 2 being out right now, it could re-spark that. And that's something you have to keep into consideration too, that some of these shows are airing right now. So that gives shows like Solo Leveling, which is nominated here, and shows like Apothecary Diaries, it gives those kind of a soft advantage because there is a sequel season out right now and they're both being really well received. Going down to Supporting Boy, which I don't care about, and Supporting Girl, which I don't care about, we're going to skip them. So here we go, the Aspect Awards. This is what I care about more, and this is, I think, where the awards race is really going to take place and really determine who the winner is going to be. So in terms of adapted screenplay, for me, it's by far and away Frieren. But I think some people are probably going to... I could see people splitting on this one. I could see some people going with Dandadan. I could see some people going with Frieren. I could see some people going with Apothecary Diaries, Delicious in Dungeon, Bleach. I see those really being the big ones. If Sound Euphonium was a bigger show, I think maybe you could see that there. I just don't think it has enough audience for that. But I think I would give this to Frieren. I hope Frieren takes it because I think its screenplay was amazing. But who it's going to go to, I think it's once again between Dandadan and Frieren, which I think is just indicative of this entire race. The oldest show and the most recent show. Best in Animation, you have some big nominees here. Bleach, I think, probably, like in my mind, I'd probably give it to Bleach, if I'm being honest with you. But I think it's going to go to Dandadan. So there's that. So let's say Dandadan takes the 2 big character awards. Frieren takes... the screenplay award, and Dandadan takes the animation award. Okay, well now we're like Dandadan 3, Frieren 1, down to character design. For me, with character design, it's a weird category. Like, I just vote for the one that, like, if I like just saw a random drawing of a character, I would know what anime that's from. To me, that's character design, is when it's a recognizable character. But I don't really know what other people view this metric by. Frieren's not even nominated here. I'd probably give this one to Ranma just because I loved the animation style and the character design, and I love that harken back to the older classic type of anime and manga because it is based on a classic anime and manga. But I could see this probably going to Dan Dan just because. But, you know, I don't really see where that one will go. Episode directing and storyboard. I don't even remember which episode any of these are. I didn't decide to look into that, but I just gave it to Freerun because I thought every episode of Freerun was just amazing. And I don't really know where this one's going to go. Interestingly, okay, I was about to say Dan Dan's not nominated, but here it is right here. I don't really know. It could go to this. It could go to Dan Dan. It could go to Freerun. And I think also, I've mentioned this before, I think Apothecary Diaries is still like that third or fourth place that you should just keep an eye out for. Like if Dan Dan and Freerun end up splitting votes, you could see like something like Apothecary Diaries rising up. So be prepared for that. An original screenplay, you have all these shows. I don't think I've seen a single one of these shows. I had a really bad year in terms of anime. I already talked about this. So I wouldn't vote in that. Sceneries and visuals. Freerun, I think, had amazing art, especially its background art, these big, ginormous landscapes, and just beautiful. It's just like a painting everywhere. But I could see people, when they think sceneries and visuals, are thinking more in terms of like action and in terms of visual effects. And in that case, they could give it to Dan Dan. So you see what I mean? Like it's this entire split. Soundtrack, I would give it to Freerun because I still listen to that soundtrack. I have pieces of that score memorized. I don't remember a dang thing from any of these other shows. So other than like Bleach, but Bleach gets a little bit of an asterisk next to it in my mind because it's building off of themes that have already been established. But I would give it to Freerun, no doubt. And I don't know what people are going to give this to. And then we go down to voice cast, opening song, ending song, and then the genre awards. And I think we all know where those ones are going to go. But that's essentially the awards race in terms of the Anime Trending Awards, where you see in like every category, at least for me, I have who I would vote for. But then when it comes to who I think audiences are going to vote for, each one I'm like, it's either Dan Dan or Freerun. And so I think that that's your race, is between those two. One of those two is going to take Anime of the Year here. I think Dan Dan has a little bit more of an advantage. I think it's going to take some more of the Aspect Awards, but I do hope and I do believe that people might celebrate Freerun more as an overall piece of anime versus Dan Dan. You know, like I said, they could split the votes. Neither one of them could win anything, and it could be a totally different show than what I thought the two frontrunners were, like last year when that exact same thing happened with Tengoku Daimakyo beating what I thought the two frontrunners were, Vinland Saga and Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. But anyways, guys, those are the Anime Trending nominations. You can vote now on the website. I already voted, so I was going to try to like show you how to go about it, but I can't do that because it doesn't allow me to vote anymore. Vote for who you think is the best. Even if it's neither one of those shows, vote for the shows that you think is the best. And only vote in the categories you care about, unless you don't want to. But I don't vote in the things that I don't care about because the people who do care, I think that their opinion should matter more than me. But anyway, how are you guys going to vote? So as we all know, one of the biggest stories in anime that came out over the past few months first started out as a leak and then got officially announced that Demon Slayer is not finishing with a typical anime season, but is rather turning into a film franchise and is going to become a film trilogy to adapt its final arc, The Infinity Castle. And so we then, after it was told it was going to be a trilogy, we were told that the first movie would be coming out in 25, the second one in 26, at least that's what I think, and the final one in 27. And then after that, they'll switch from Demon Slayer over to Genshin Impact and finally start working on that anime. But when it comes to Demon Slayer, we at least knew that the Japanese release date was going to be in 2025, and it looks like, according to this leak, we have an official release date of Japanese theaters coming. It's coming to Japanese theaters on September 12th, 2025, which is right at the end of summer, right as kids are starting to go back to school, at least in the US. But then, so when I saw this, I was like, okay, so that means it's not coming out in the US until like January. You know what I mean? Like, because it always comes out a few months later. It turns out actually not, because according to this same leaker, the Infinity Castle arc is coming to US theaters on September 17th, 2025, a week later. And I think that this is just an amazing move because it keeps spoilers down for people who don't read the manga. It keeps leaks from happening because it's just a week. So, I mean, some stuff is going to leak online and people are going to see it. But I think it keeps it from becoming this huge, ginormous thing because in just a week, other audiences will be able to see it. It also keeps the box office from being this long, dragged out thing. And now its two major areas can perform almost simultaneously, and we can get a much better picture of how that box office is going to go. Now, they still have not officially confirmed this, but this looks like this is going to be the leak, and any rave, at least from the leaks that I've seen, usually tends to be decently reliable. So, and I don't see why, like, this would be, I don't know why this would be like something that they would lie about, just a release date, but it could be wrong, so always take it with a grain of salt, but it looks like that this is probably going to be the case, and so now we're just waiting for Demon Slayer to actually confirm this. Another leak that happened that I forgot to get the link to is that the second Demon Slayer Infinity Castle film is already being in development. It's already being animated and things like that, which goes to show that I bet this first Infinity Castle movie is still in its final stages, and them doing final post-production and things like that. But it just goes to show how good this production is and how smooth things are moving. Or at least it seems that way. Maybe on the inside things are awful, but at least it seems like things are chugging along. They're not delaying the film. They're not working up to the wire. They're already working on the second one, according to these leaks, 7 months before this film is supposed to come out. No, 8 months before this film is supposed to come out. So that just goes to show that Ufotable really is, just like Kyoto Animation, really is a studio that other studios should model after in terms of how to do productions. Because, I mean, we talked about this before when Kagurabaki was being bidded over, people were trying to buy the rights to the bidding war. There we go. There was a bidding war over it. Ufotable's name was not in the running, because they have other stuff they're doing. They have this that is going to keep them busy through 2027. And then after that, they're going right into Genshin, which we're probably going to get sometime in 2028, maybe 2029. And then that's probably going to be a few seasons. So they are occupied. They are busy. They have no time to do anything else. And they know their limits. They know, hey, we do a really quality, production if we have all hands on deck and focus on this one thing. And it keeps things moving. It looks like they're ahead of schedule. It looks like things are going really well. And so that's all good here. But anyway, so the big thing here is the release dates. Japanese theaters, September 12th. American theaters, September 17th, according to this leak. What do you guys think about that? And are you excited? Now, I know lately we've been talking about a lot of the problems that have been plaguing the anime industry, not only from piracy, but production issues and, worker, abusing their workers and things like that. And people even saying that the anime industry, like insiders in the anime industry, are saying that it can't last like this for much longer. So, you'd just be expecting that, like, it's just going downhill, everything's dying. But no, according to the AJA, the Association of Japanese Animation, the revenue report just shows that the anime industry is just continuing to just grow and grow and grow as it keeps going. Now, that doesn't mean that, it still can't collapse at some point, but it just goes to show that it's, that it's still profitable and it's still an amazing business to be in. Now, the AJA released its 2024 findings. This is for the year of 2023, though. So we won't know in 2024 numbers until the beginning of 2026. So it's a little bit behind, but it talks about the revenue of the anime industry, talking about merchandise, music, and other areas. And it's saying here, according to this article on Anime News Network, that it grew by 14.3% in 2023 compared to the year of 2022. And then they say for a total market value of 3.34 trillion yen, or about 21.27 billion US dollars. And then they say this is the highest that it's ever been since they began recording the industry's total market values in 2002. So this has been about 21 years now. And it just keeps on getting bigger, which I think a lot of us should have expected, just with how much more mainstream anime's been becoming and more anime films being released. Like, the amount of money that Demon Slayer is about to bring in this year is going to be insane. And I cannot wait to see this year's numbers in 2027. It's going to be crazy. Exceeding the previous record high of 18.6 billion in 2022. This is the highest year-on-year growth since 2002. And they talk about some different things here. So the domestic, for in this case, is the Japanese anime market, and the foreign anime markets grew this year, but the foreign market overtook the domestic market for a second time since 2002 with a 51.5% of the total market. So just barely, which just goes to show how much like Japan, if you look at like a world map, is the small country compared to the rest of the world, but it just shows how big anime still is in Japan. Like it's still close to 50% of all of its markets is still in Japan. 2020 had a foreign market larger than the domestic market for the first time ever, but 2021 reversed it once more, and it remained that way in 2022. And then the foreign market amounted to about 10.4 billion, 18% increase from 2022. And then it just continues on here. And then it shows it shows this graph, which shows just how the anime industry has progressed from over the years. So it starts out here with around 10.9 billion yen, trillion yen. I don't remember. Anyway, but all the way up to here where it's over tripled in size, which just goes to show how big this anime industry is going. And it just keeps getting bigger. Like if we keep up this track, I mean, next year it'll be close to 40, and then after that we'll be in the mid 40s. It just keeps on rising. And then the second graph details the domestic market, which is the solid line, so the Japanese market, and the overseas market, which is the dotted line. So you can see it was a little big in the early 2000s. As we get to the later 2000s and the early 2010s, it really dips off. And then after around mid 2014, boom, it just goes up. And it first crossed in 2020 because Japanese took a big dip. I assume this had to do with the pandemic and how Japan had a much larger crackdown than some other countries. And so people probably just weren't as involved in doing stuff. And so that's where that dip came from. But then back in 2021, they rebounded. And ever since then, it looks like both markets have been fairly steady as they're rising. And then the foreign markets overtook it this year. Some domestic market segments also saw growth in 2023, including streaming's 51.4% growth compared to 2022 at 250.1 billion yen, about $1.5 billion. Merchandise growth, 4.7%. About $4.5 billion. Live entertainment, which we don't really talk about, 687 million, and television revenues, 3.2% growth, about 618 million. The music, home video, and film segments shrank in 2023 because physical media is dying. Parrot Analytics highlighted global merchandise sales for the anime industry amounting to the U.S. bringing in $14.3 billion in combined foreign and domestic sales, with Asia accounting for $5.46 billion of sales, and North America at I think I messed up and thought that this was the U.S. This is the U.S. currency, but this is the U.S. over here, or at least North America, whereas this is the overall. In terms of the merchandise, North America at just about $5 billion, with both regions combined forming 73% of anime merchandise sales worldwide. And then we get down to the streaming services, which was the big one that people have been talking about. Netflix's revenue for its anime catalog amounted to over $2 billion in 2023, with anime specialty streamer Crunchyroll at second place in revenue, with 1.16 billion. Almost $1 billion behind. Behind them are Hulu at 903 million, Amazon Prime at 515 million, IQIYI, I don't know what that one is, at 217 million, Bilibili 153.9, Tencent Video 137.3, Disney Plus at 130, Max 74, and Mango TV at 72.4. And here's an image of what that looks like. You can just see how much of a giant Netflix is, and then Crunchyroll's half of that, and then Hulu is like 70% of that, and then Amazon Prime is like 50% of that, and it just like and it just keeps on dropping off. And then so you have these really big giants, and then you have this huge giant, which I think a lot of us, when we think of anime, because Crunchyroll, at least in the US, is so synonymous with anime that we just think of Crunchyroll, and we're just like, oh yeah, Crunchyroll is this huge thing, and it's all doing all the anime stuff. But it's actually Netflix, because Netflix, number one, has more subscribers than any other streaming service by far, and they have all this anime. And it's weird how they crunch their numbers, but I think Netflix, you know, if they base it off of, I think if someone new subscribes to the service and then they first watch something, they account it as you subscribing to watch that thing. Unless they change that, that's at least my current understanding. Unless they're just counting like everybody watching it and that counting towards like a certain dollar amount. And I don't know if Crunchyroll does, since it's all anime, I don't know if they just count it as like if you just subscribe. In an earlier separate report in September, Parrot Analytics also noted that 6.8% of Netflix's revenue, its demand share, comes from its anime catalog. Despite anime comprising only 3.9% of its entire library. Meanwhile, 11.8% of Hulu's revenue comes from anime, with anime comprising 9% of its library. Other notable services include Amazon Prime, with 3.1% demand share and 2.3% supply share, Peacock with 2.3% demand share and 2.7% supply share, and Disney with 0.5% demand share and 0.7% supply share. The anime industry had contracted by 3.5% in 2020, I assume once again because of the pandemic, with a total market value of 2.4 trillion yen, about $21.32 billion by 2021. Conversion, the market value strictly for anime productions contracted by 9% to 274 billion yen, or 2.41 billion by 2021 conversion. The industry generated 88.4 billion yen, yet less, due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to surveys. The streaming market increased dramatically in 2020 by 35.8% year on year, with a total value of 93 billion yen, about 817 million. And was also the only market segment to see growth. So there's that. I know a bunch of numbers at your face. A bunch of you, your eyes probably glazed over and you're just sitting there like, and some of you probably skipped to the next topic or just left the video altogether, which I get. A lot of numbers, a lot of boring stuff. But I do think that this is really cool. This shows not only that the anime industry is still growing, which is a good thing in terms of anime is successful. Yay. But also a bad thing because this may incentivize studios to really not change anything, to just keep on going the way they're going. Because like, look, it's still growing exponentially. Look at that. Another thing that I think this shows is just how massive Netflix is. Now, I'm sure like some people already knew this, and I'm sure like if like looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But just like off the top of your head, it just feels like Crunchyroll should be the biggest one, because it is so, at least in the US, so synonymous with anime. And I know that in places like Japan, Netflix is the primary streamer for anime. I don't think they even have Crunchyroll in Japan. You have to like use a VPN to use it, but you get Netflix. And so, and it's different in every country, which is why it's so split across the things. And some services that aren't even like anime services, like Disney Plus and Max, and Prime Video, even Netflix, just have rights to some things, and it still performs well there. So anime is just a juggernaut, and it will continue to be a juggernaut. I mean, it doesn't compare to anything like movies or anything like that. It's not that mainstream, and I don't know if it ever will be. But, I mean, for anime, dude. And so I'm excited to see how these numbers continue to grow. And how they continue to progress, because I think this does show, this just kind of helps us with our understanding of where the anime industry is at currently, and by all metrics, it is super successful. And while we can still acknowledge that there are huge problems in the anime industry that need to be fixed, it is also a very successful business. I think we need to make sure we keep that in mind. All right, I want to talk about some bad news. It's time to get negative in here. Time to start the year angry. No, this is really stupid, and so I will be a little bit perturbed by this. But I think we do need to talk about it, because this is one of the biggest distributors, publishers, one of the biggest names in anime. And it also just shows an overall trend. So we need to look at it through that lens, because this is a big deal. And that's that Kadokawa is going all in on franchises and IP, baby. They're done with original series, done with creativity, and it's time to only go off of things that work. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Kadokawa is a chief anime officer who heads one of Japan's biggest anime producers by annual series count, has revealed the company's plan for a stable anime production in future seasons, according to a new interview, where he says simply increasing the number of productions will result in thinner profits and high costs, he said. Rather than increasing the number of projects, we need to come up with creative ideas, such as making sequels to hit series and increasing the number of episodes. The only way to continue producing work stably is to increase the number of in-house studios. So this would be, expanding studios, kind of like what we're seeing where other studios are buying studios or are creating new divisions. He's talking essentially about that kind of stuff. Kadokawa's productions include hit series like ReZero, Oshinoko, Eminence in Shadow, and Clash of the Elite. So clearly a really big name. Kadokawa's in-house studios include Engi, which has a 53% stake, Kandan, which is Kinema, Citrus, 31.8%, and Dogakobo. He added, "We select projects that suit the individual characteristics of each studio. If the opportunity arises, we would like to open more studios." Kikuchi says that Kadokawa's current annual anime sales are over $30 billion, which is around $190 million US dollars. He wishes to increase that by 1.5 times in the next 3 years. The interview also presents Kadokawa's approach to building relationships with original creators, like timing the Oshinoko anime production with the manga's ending in mind, the importance of pre-sales and accelerating anime production schedules so that a series can be promoted and localized overseas in advance, increasing its chances of success. And then he continues to blah, blah, blah. So essentially he's saying, I still don't like it. But essentially what he's saying is that we need to expand more studios, and then this studio needs to keep making the same shows, keep making sequels, and keep expanding the number of episodes because it works for you. And if we want to take on something else, we'll create a new studio and have them only focus on that so that we can build up this empire. Which I guess, it's a double-edged sword. In one hand, he's highlighting, in terms of the business side of things, we need franchise, we need IP. These names sell, and so we need to do as many of that as possible. And once we build up a name, we need to go build up another name. But also, so there's one side, and that's the pro-business side. But then there's also the side of, but what about new shows? How much original shows are we doing? Or does everything have to be established things? Original anime can be successful. It can be popular. It's not always popular. It's not always successful, but it can be. And then maybe you get to build something new off of that. Or at least your name gets to continue to be in a place. I think I've talked about this before, but I hate this continuous spiral of anime only being manga adaptations or light novel adaptations, and some light novels and manga being just adaptations of the anime, of original anime. And it's just man, why can't we have different things in each medium? To me, it's it signals just a death of creativity. It's just we need to maximize and stretch out as much as we can these names that people know. And I get it. Look, it's the world that we live in. This is what people do. This is what businesses do. But but we can also have creativity. He didn't even mention anything in here about creativity. It's just let's just build a new studio to build a new franchise from an established name. Or we could have some new stuff. Can you build a studio to only do original stuff, please? But he doesn't really mention that, at least as far as I can see. So, it's in that sense, I hate it because he doesn't even mention original anime. It's we need to build off of the shows that we've done. We need to make these anime longer. We need to do more episodes. We need to have more seasons to these popular shows. And then we'll make other studios to do the same thing there, with a different big known IP. And seemingly overall just neglecting new stuff altogether. I don't know, like nothing. I mean, I can't say nothing because some of the stuff is adapted from like books and other things. But I mean, look at Studio Ghibli stuff. Some of the most celebrated, not just anime, but some of the most celebrated films of all time. How many of those are original? Now, granted, there's plenty of original stuff that we've never heard of because they just fell on their face and no one ever checked them out. And so I'm sure the studio was like, see. But that's where you have this. That's where you can use the business side of things and say, okay, this really big anime is going to, in terms of merchandise sales, in terms of just overall revenue we make from everything involving this is going to make so much profit that it can also pay for when an original anime that we take a chance on underperforms. And I think you need to have that risk. I understand that it's never going to be, at least not in this time or anytime soon, that it's never going to be the predominant type of anime. We're never going to see that. It's always going to be adaptations. And I like adaptations. But I don't want only adaptations. I don't want this mindset of only adaptations. And an original anime is the exception. I think a healthy balance is good. And learning to walk that tightrope of, okay, to really have profit, to really have these things, let's have these names that people know that they'll come to, so that way we have a stable line of profit. And then let's have some artists make new things. And let's give them some money to make new things. And if it's successful, awesome. We can build off of that. And if it's not, well, then this stable profit that we have over here can make up for that. And I just think it's the neglecting of that really shows where his mindset is, which is just franchise, which is where so many of these studios are at. And I just hate it. Now, maybe, I don't know his thought process. So maybe he just he forgot. He just, slip of the tongue, brain fart. He forgot to mention original anime. But I don't think that that's the case. I think that it shows that it's really not a priority for him. And if it's not a priority to studios, it's never going to be a priority to the audience. Because audiences only know like what they have, audiences don't really, you have to, that phrase, like you have to show them that they wanted something they never knew they wanted. Like you have to do that. The stuff that they know they want is the stuff that they love that's constantly been there, that is consistent, which is franchises. So I get it. But at the same time, let's build some new stuff that can be celebrated because, I think that's the stuff that could last longer if it's great. But, if it's not a priority, then we'll never even have that possibility. All right, with that bad news out of the way, it's time to get back into our favorite news, piracy sites. I know we've never talked about these, ever. Never. Just kidding. These have been like the prevailing story for the past year, and they're kind of getting on my nerves, so forgive me if there's not much commentary. You guys know my thoughts, but I feel like I should at least keep you guys updated on what's going on the scene, which is that HiAnime, which is, I guess now, with all the ones that have been taken down, is now the world's biggest anime piracy site, has surpassed streaming service Disney Plus in monthly global visits, even in Disney's home of the United States. With 364 million visits in just October 2024, as Disney's total of 343 million in the same month. Now, HiAnime fell in November to 331.6 million, but is still higher than Disney Plus from the same period, which was 328.2 million. I assume there was a drop off there because in November you enter that holiday season, so people just aren't watching stuff as much. They're out buying gifts, they're out spending time with family, things like that. HiAnime ranked number 6, while Disney Plus ranked number 8 in streaming online TV category for the US within similar webs. I read the sentence backwards. I'm Yoda. Furthermore, HiAnime's total was nearly triple Crunchyroll's traffic over the same period at 121 million. Now, we talk about that and you just see how big this is. I mean, that pales in comparison to Netflix and YouTube, but a lot bigger than Crunchyroll and bigger than even Disney Plus. This streaming service, which I assume is now the biggest because all the other ones have been taken down, is now the next big target for the people that go after these sites. And this one has been added to a notorious streaming list by the U.S. government. As reported by Torrent Freak, the Office of the United States Trade Representative, USTR, released its 2024 report into notorious markets for counterfeiting and piracy, or the NML. I have no idea where they got that. This list highlights online and physical markets that reportedly engage in or facilitate substantial trademark or counterfeiting or copyright piracy. Unsurprisingly, the newest addition to the list is HiAnime, the world's biggest anime piracy site. Readers can check out the USTR statement on HiAnime below, where they say HiAnime is reportedly a successor site to the previously popular site AniWatch, which is what I was saying, which was listed on the 2023 NML. The AniWatch site was itself a rebrand of the well-known Zoro.to site in July 2023. The rights holders, the Anti-Piracy Trade Association, shut down Zoro.to, which was run from Vietnam. And thereafter, the site apparently was rebranded as AniWatch.to. The site was again rebranded to HiAnime in 2024, March of 2024. Stakeholders report that HiAnime site provides pirated versions of popular movies and television, particularly anime. According to similar web rankings, the site received over 200 million visits in August 2024 and then grew even more, which we just talked about, surpassing Disney+. So anyway, there's that. They've added it to a list, so they're definitely going to be going after this one. And it looks like the U.S. is actually going after this one, not anime studios, which is what we've seen in most of these cases. Anime studios going after them, or people who have the licenses for these things, even Korean ones, things like that. But the U.S. is actually going after this site themselves. They've added it on a list, and so there is a chance that you see this going out, and then we'll have, in a couple weeks, we'll have a new #1 anime piracy site in the world, because these people will just hop from place to place. Now, I'll give my little quick commentary that you guys know. Not a fan of piracy, but I also understand that some people feel that they have no other choice. Now, there are some people who are lazy, who can not pirate, but they just choose to. And I think that studios should take care of piracy in the places that they can, because it is bad for the industry. And, but on the similar side, or on the other side, the anime studios aren't doing that. They're just going after the piracy, and they're not doing anything to make anime more accessible to people who do pirate. They're not trying to expand licenses to other places that people don't have it. They're not trying to make some of these services more affordable. They're not trying to make different plan options for people to get in there. Crunchyroll's even gatekeeping One Piece by making people pay for it, when that's arguably the most popular anime in the world right now, when instead, at least for a limited time, in my mind, they should be trying to appease these people by having them come over. Oh, wow, I like Crunchyroll. Oh, look, they have a free option with ads. I don't like ads, but hey, I don't know. You could try harder, but they're not going to. And so it's just a bunch of boohoos on every side, and those are my exhausted and tired thoughts about that. I mentioned we would talk about this earlier when we were talking about it missing from the anime trending movie nominations, but Look Back is a film that I loved. I think it was in my top 5, I forget, movies of 2024. I posted my full list on my social media if you want to take a look at that. But anyway, I loved the film, and I didn't love it as much when I saw it, but if you listen to me talk about it on the Otaku Experience, if you watch my video on my personal channel, King Tannic, about it, shameless plug, by the way, you heard me say that as I was looking into it and asking questions about why certain things happen in the film, I learned more about the commentary that the film was making, and then I began to see the brilliance behind the film. Because before I just thought it was good, it was well written, things like that. But then it was oh, this is about something, and that just made me appreciate it so much more. Well, it turns out Look Back was the highest rated animated anything on Letterboxd. If you don't know what Letterboxd is essentially the largest, it's kind of like my anime list for movies. It's the largest movie platform where you can log movies, where you can rank them, things like that. I think they're trying to add more series to it, like streaming shows and things like that. But right now it's primarily a movie site, which is how I like it. I like to be able to log my movies, and I use this thing all the time. I'm addicted to this app. I just love it. And it beat things like The Wild Robot, Haikyuu, The Dumpster Battle, Memoir of a Snail, Flow, which looks like it's going to be the frontrunner to win even the Oscar for animated film, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, Mononoke the movie, Phantom in the Rain, Transformers 1, The Missing, and Ultraman Rising. Then G Kids also posted something for Letterboxd on their Twitter in celebration because they were the international distributor of the film, where they say, Look Back was all over Letterboxd year in review. Congratulations to Kiyotaka Oshiyama and Studio Durian, and thank you to Tatsuki Fujimoto for creating this incredible story. And then they say, Look Back, which was the highest rated animation, the fourth highest rated overall of the year, number 6 in the Midways 2020s of the highest rated film. So that's between 2020 and 2025, I believe, is when that's going to end. Or maybe 2024, and then you have 2025 through 2029. But anyway, so in between there, it ranks number 6 of all the films in those lists. Number 2 in terms of the highest rated directorial debut of 2024, and the highest rated the second highest rated Asian film of 2024. So Look Back, just this huge success in every metric of people seeing it and loving it. And remember, its box office was even more successful than they thought it would be when they expanded. Remember, it was only supposed to release for 1 weekend in the States, and then they expanded it to like a few days and even a whole other weekend because of how successful it was in that opening weekend. So Look Back's just this amazing story, and I love it. And I've already watched it. It's on Amazon Prime Video if you want to watch it. If you have an account, you can watch it for free there. And it's great, and I really recommend it. It's a really short watch. I also recommend reading the manga. I found that reading both or experiencing both was really valuable. I preferred the film. I think that it gave it more room to breathe. That's just because I read manga really fast, and I just flip the pages constantly because I'm reading it and flipping it. Whereas this, you get those moments where you can sit in it, in those really quiet moments. And I just thought it was an amazing, just an amazing overall picture, and I loved it. G Kids also down here is talking about some other things that they distributed, like Dan Dan Dan, Evangelion, Song of the Sea, and the first Slam Dunk, which were top 5 in Midway 2020s for first Slam Dunk, top 5 in top films of 2014, Song of the Sea. Number 10 in Midway 2020s for Evangelion, and number 6 in TV special and movie for Dan Dan Dan. So they're just having a good celebration over there at G Kids. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what the eligibility is for the Anime Trending Awards, but, a Look Back should be on there. And if it was, I think that it would probably take the award, but it'll probably be nominated next year, I guess. In which case, I think that's goofy, but is what it is. All right, I wasn't going to talk about anything else in terms of like news type of stuff, but this one I thought was a little bit interesting, and I figured I would just tag it on to the end because I don't have too much to say, but I think it is interesting and we should keep an eye out for it. According to Anime News Network, Crunchyroll is launching a manga app later this year. And they say Crunchyroll announced this during Sony's Consumer Electronics Show CES press conference. Hello, get out of my face. On Monday that it will launch a new manga app named Crunchyroll Manga, well, real creative Crunchyroll, later this year as a premium add-on to its subscription service. The app will launch first in English and in the United States, and in Canada, someone's ringing my doorbell. But other languages and web browser integration are planned. This is not the first time that Crunchyroll has offered manga, with the company launching the first Crunchyroll manga service in October 2013, and yada, yada, yada. So it's going to be launching a manga app, which I don't really know how this is going to go because it's not a complete, like they're more known for anime, and I don't know if they're a licensor for a bunch of stuff, so I think they just have rights to certain things versus being like Shonen Jump or something where they are like the publisher of something. So I don't really know how big this is going to be, but Crunchyroll, the biggest thing they have going for them is their name appeal and their big brand. And I think that could help them. So I just say we keep an eye out for that. All right, with all that main stuff out of the way, it's time to get into our favorite part of the show. It's time to keep up with the anime community. All right, so usually we have something like pretty silly, but this is actually kind of cool. The Mashal opening from season 2, Blin Bang Bang Born. I mean, you know how it, like, you know the rhythm of it, but anyway, it exceeded 300 million views on YouTube. it is just this massive thing. I don't know when the last time an anime opening was this massive. Like, the only thing I could think of would be like Idol from or what's the name? Was it Idol that from Oshinoko, the opening song title? But I don't even know if that was this big. I know that this one has taken like a big thing. Like, this is on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. Like, this is a big sound that you can use in your videos. So, I mean, it makes sense there that it's just being utilized for all these things. So it's popped into the mainstream that way. But I just think this is cool. I don't know, like, I couldn't find anywhere where it says like other big ones that have performed similar like this. So maybe this is the first of its kind. I don't really know. I don't keep up with this, but I just thought that was pretty cool. And I just wanted to let you guys know about that. All right, with all the fun stuff out of the way, it's time to get down to the business, the numbers. No, we're going to talk about the just anime corner. We're going to talk about the end of fall, their final rankings for the overall season, and then they have their first week of the winter rankings. So we'll talk about that. No anime corner until probably next show. I don't know when they start. Anime trending is always like a week or two behind. But anyway, but they always end up wrapping up sooner. It's weird. So going over to fall, we have their highest rated show of the year, or of the season, was Bleach 1,000 Year Blood Worth 14%, and then the next one, Dandadan at number 2, less than 10%. Wow, so that's a big gap there. ReZero Season 3 was at number 3, Blue Blocks at number 4, Blue Lock Season 2 at number 5, Amagami Sister at number 6, Dimensional Seduction at number 7, Ranma 1/2 at 8, Danmachi at number 9, and Your Miss Servant at number 10. So it looks like those are Anime Corner's anime of the seasons, or of the season. I don't know if they, I forget if they have their own like awards. I'm sure they do, but I completely forget. But anyway, it's not one that gets any major thing if it is. And so that's why we never really talk about it. But anyway, then they have their first week of winter, and we'll get to see what the first impressions from at least one community base looks like. And I Have a Crush at Work somehow is at the top, even competing with things like Solo Leveling and My Happy Marriage. Somehow I Have a Crush at Work is at the top. Apothecary Diaries is not here yet, so I think we'll get a better look next week. But I mean, these are first impressions. So I Have a Crush at Work was at number 1, Blue Box at number 2, Solo Leveling Season 2 at number 3, I'm Getting Married to a Girl I Hate in My Class at number 4, My Happy Marriage Season 2 at number 5, Dr. Stone at number 6, I'm Falling in Love with You at number 7, Honey Lemon Soda at number 8, Medeka Kuriwa at number 9, and Ameku MD Doctor Detective at number 10. And so those are your seasonal rankings. And like I said, we'll probably have anime trending next week, as well as a better look at the anime corner. What we can expect to see for the rest of anime corner with this season. As I don't know why I just can't talk right now. While throughout the rest of the season, because more shows will have aired by the time that list comes out. But anyway, there's that. And the last thing we're going to do is a little announcement speed round. Now, these aren't really announcements, but more just like updates to certain things. So first things first, Komi Can't Communicate, the manga is in the final part, and it is coming to an end. And the chapter's log line from Shonen Jump 2025 issue number 7 says the final part, as high school life comes to an end, preparations for the graduation ceremony progress. And so it looks like they're about to graduate, and Komi Can't Communicate will be coming to an end very soon. Next, we have an update on the Ghost of Tsushima anime. It has an official release window, and it is going to be coming out in the year 2027. And I forget who's doing this one. Who's doing this? This is doing Crunchyroll is doing this. Or no, Sucker Punch Productions. I have no idea who this is. But anyway, or I guess they're the person, they're the group behind it with Sony. But anyway, Crunchyroll looks like is going to be like actually doing it like with their other stuff, because they're owned by Sony. So why give it to someone else when you can keep it in-house? And so that'll be coming out in 2027, which shows me that they're taking it seriously. They're not trying to rush us, and that we can expect, at least in terms of like the idea of it, we can expect some bigger things. And then the last one is an update to something we talked about in the last episode, which is Makoto Shinkai's new film and how he talked about how he's going to be announcing it sometime soon this year. Well, just turns out that Comics Wave Films is once again going to Anime Japan this year, and they have worked with Makoto Shinkai. They're usually the studio that he goes with, and they've done things like Suzume, Weathering With You, Your Name, 5 centimeters per second, etc. So, and they said that they're going to be announcing a new animation at the upcoming event. So I think that just goes to show that sometime in this week of March 22nd through 25th, we will know what Makoto Shinkai's next film is, most likely. Now, it could be something else. Maybe they're working with another director and they're talking about that project. But I think that odds are that this is the new Makoto Shinkai project, and I'm stoked to see what it's going to end up being. But anyway, guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Otaku Experience. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember that the show is also on Spotify, so you can listen to it there. And there are links in the description to all my social media if you want to keep up with me outside of the show. And if you're new to the Burnett Network, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, so that way new videos, not just from me, but also from Rob and the other people on the Burnett Network, show up in your feed when they come out. And with that all being said, I will see you all next time.